Welcome to the Floorducation Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We're here to talk with contractors from all across the country. This week, we are honored to have Jesse Boswell of Dozers in Mesa, Arizona, joining us. Jesse specializes in flooring demolition and has been involved in the industry for over 18 years. Jesse Boswell, you on the line with us?
I guess so.
All right, yes. There you are. Yep. Yes. Okay. Why don't you give me a little introduction? Let me, name, business, what you do, where you're located.
Sure. My name is Jesse Boswell. I'm the owner of Dozers. We're a flooring demolition company located out in Mesa, Arizona. Been in business. I've been in the flooring industry business for 18 years. We really started specializing in demo about 9 years ago. And we've been full on demo only for 3 years. Did I answer all your questions there? I'm not really sure.
Yes, that does it. What kind of demolition? I mean, I know you do many different types of demolition. What is the bulk of your business?
I apologize. You're kind of cutting up again on me.
I know you I know you specialize in demolition. Is there anything that makes up a bulk of your business?
The bulk of our business is definitely dustless tile removal, something that we have basically we started experimenting with and started pretty much perfecting, and over time that really consumed the bulk of our business. But we really just take on the difficult removals. We don't get called very often to do a carpet removal, tack strip, that kind of stuff. Unless it's like a commercial, we do both residential and commercial demo, but we don't often get called for easy stuff. We get the hard stuff, or at least in our client's mind, the hard stuff. For us, it's pretty easy.
When you have the right tools, it becomes much easier. That is for sure. How did your business evolve into that?
I ended up getting arthritis being a flooring installer. You pretty much know exactly how that road goes. My knees are not so good. But along our whole, I don't know what to call it, adventure getting into demo over the last 8 years, we had developed, tools that allowed us to demo from standing position. And so really once arthritis kicked in and down on my knees, I had a fallback in our demo tools that we had been developing. And that really paid off, because otherwise I don't know what I'd be doing. I guess I would have looked for a job at Home Depot or something. I wasn't a big fan of, I know a lot of guys like to subcontract out labor, but I wasn't. I tried that before, and that's a whole different headache that I don't like. So I didn't want to go back down that road.
Well, so there was options to go, you could have become a rep for a company, you could have done sales. You happen to have a skill and developed your own equipment that's been evolving over the years. So how is it that where did you get these skills from? How did they develop, and what was the natural evolution into what is now Dozers?
Well, I mean, I don't want to give the impression that we made anything earth-shattering. We use demolition hammers. We just found ways to use them better, so that you're not crawling around on the floor. It actually makes we have some people that tell us our because we also sell equipment on the side, but anyway, that's a different story. But we have feedback from people that tell us it's about 4 times faster using our equipment versus crawling around on the floor. So I think I missed your question there. I'm just chatting away. But
well, what was the evolution? How did you end up becoming, from retile into Dozers? There was a lot of other options. You didn't want to sub out work. You didn't want to go and do sales in a store. You didn't want to be a rep. There was a lot of other options to stay involved in the industry. And
I
so how
actually
did it
try
evolve
that.
into, staying in, still being around the floor?
Yeah, I actually did do. I was a superintendent for about 8 months, but this was 5 6 years ago for a massive flooring contractor here in Arizona. I was one of their superintendents, and I just hated it. So I already knew I'm not cut out for working for others. it, you know, I did it once for 5 years, and I guess it's kind of I feel like I paid my due, and I don't want to do that again. I'd like to just build a company and figure that out. And what's kept us in business has actually been our branding. We had some. I've got some business mentors that I'll call them mentors, that had really pushed us to work on our brand. So we switched from retail. I always kind of took pride in doing my own little logos, but I didn't understand branding, and it took me a while to figure out, hey, you don't understand branding. But I would really say that we built our company. Branding really helped build our company. So I'm not a brand expert or anything like that, but I know people that are, and that's who I hired to take that over.
Okay.
I'm still not answering your question.
I,
Sorry.
no, you're good. I'm trying to see now. I'm just trying to figure out where to go with it. Is where I'm really at. A lot of guys are getting older. Their knees are going. Yours happened to go a little prematurely. They're not completely shot, but you stopped far enough in advance to prevent them from becoming shot. What are some ways guys can stay around the floor and work longer, and take something from like what you've been doing?
Yeah. And I should probably rewind a little bit. So I'm only 36 years old. Actually, just turned 36. So definitely my knees went out premature. I know that when I got into the flooring industry, we did quite a bit of commercial work. I didn't mind the crawling around. I didn't use knee pads. I didn't use the right equipment, even though my boss would provide it. I didn't use it. Thought it was, you think you're invincible. But as I got probably 6 7 years ago, I realized that I wasn't. I was becoming less invincible. So I invested in Pro Knees. They're widely talked about, and they really are as good as people say they are. They take a little bit of time to get used to, but man, if you're going to try to last at all in this industry, I promise you're not invincible. Invest in some good knee pads, and honestly, talk to your boss if you're. I guess this is probably for people that are owners, but owners, invest in your workers, invest in your labor. Or your crew members, because they're not invincible. You want to be able to make money off of them, and that's the one of the ways that you can do it. Get them Pro Knees, or the best knee pads that you can get them, because that's really the biggest investment. And that so back to me, when I invested in Pro Knees, I was skeptical. I was broke. I didn't, that was a big investment for me. I think they were like $250 or something, $250. I remember the first job I was working on a car dealership. I had them on, and I was blown away. I think I was on that job for a week and a half or so. And by the end of it, something interesting to me was that I had hair on my knees again. So I knew that it was doing something, because I hadn't had hair on my knees in many years. So I knew that it was relieving whatever was causing, maybe that's blood restriction, I don't know. Whatever was not allowing the hair to grow. So I knew that there was an improvement, and I also didn't have all the ingrown hairs I remember with cheap knee pads. I had all that crap. I'm kind of going off on knee pads, but that's really important for flooring installers. Good tools in general. If you're going to last, you got to have good tools.
Well, how do we evolve out? How do you know that? I think that's one of the most interesting things I see in your story is that you were able to evolve your company from one thing into another, but still be involved with flooring. So these guys that are aging, how do they evolve out of being on the
How,
floor and into something else? Because a lot of us were very passionate about the flooring industry and we want to stay involved with it.
right, and I love setting tile. That's the only reason I did it. It was because I love setting tile. I'm not in a market where you can command really high rates, or at least I didn't think I was. That's a different story, but it took some time to figure that out. But it's hard, especially I know guys that are in their 60s and they still love setting tile. So I can't really say that you have to get out. You definitely don't have to get out. You do whatever's best for your, works for you personally and your business. But if you're in that kind of position where you have to either move on to something else or figure out how to run a company versus being the company. And essentially, I kind of did both. I moved out into a different industry, and I learned how to run a company versus being the guy that is at every job site. Like, I think we have 2 jobs going today, and I spent about an hour looking at them with the guys, and I moved on to all the other things that I have to do. So I'm still learning, but I'm more of a business owner. I run the company versus being in it, working in it so much. To do that, I had people, I had mentors, I had advisors that would suggest things to me. Things like they try to drill into my brain that I'll make more money in the office than I will on the job site, and that's true. I could never keep up with the quotes and all the projects that I need to go look at if I was in the field working each job. So I mean, it's a mental thing. You got to flip that switch, start trusting guys, train your guys so that you can trust them. That's huge. I've got 3 years invested in our lead guy, and he can train everybody else. And it's just kind of now a machine where I can bring on a new hire, and they have a method for getting trained, and the whole thing can scale now. How far down that road I go, I don't know at this point, but that's kind of important to always be thinking, is this business decision scalable? And figuring out how to make every business decision scalable.
I think the key there was that you mentioned that you had some mentors and people you could look up to. Something that I've
Absolutely.
realized in my own business is that I look to find people that are ahead of where I'm at, where I want to be. If I'm hanging out with the guys that are at the same level as me, how can I get to that next level if nobody's there? And so I think the key there and why you've been able to do it, and rather quickly, in my opinion, you've become very successful and have a great growing company here in the Phoenix area, is that you have gone and sought out those people that are at that next level to push you, to pull you along almost, and get you where you need to be. And at every
Yeah.
level, you have to reevaluate and say, okay, who's next? Who do I need to go to now? Where do I need to find new mentorship? How do I get to that next level?
Yeah. And you often find those people just through the conversations with the actual mentors, because you're the people that you find mentoring you, almost in my opinion, they have somebody else that's been mentoring them. And it's just you become friends with people, and that's just the way it is. So they can tell you, hey, you know who you need to talk to. I don't know the answer to this question that you're coming up with, so you need to talk to the guy that I talk to. That's kind of how that's happened for me. Um, it's just kind of a natural process there so far, anyway.
I think you're absolutely right. You've got to you have to go and find people to ask these questions to, otherwise it's never going to happen. If you're not seeking it out, if you're not trying to grow, if you're not trying to accomplish something,
Yeah.
then it's not going to happen. But you have to really want it, and it's, you've got to learn to work on your business and not just in your business. You're not going to be able to make that change if you're stuck on the floor all the time. We all have to run our business. We got to run around and do the quotes. But at some point, I know you had to make that decision to scale some part of it back, and put the trust in your guys to get it done so that you could go do the other things to actually grow it.
Yeah. Yep. And there's growing pains at that stage. There's always growing pains at every stage, it seems like, but that's all you got to do is figure out how to adapt and carry on. I was going to say, and when you find mentors in your industry, and it doesn't even have to be in your industry, but people that have a good understanding of what you're trying to do, and especially the ones they've been there, they know what you need to do. They've struggled through the same things. You gotta listen to them. For me, there was a lot of pushback on branding my company. And I look back, and the best decision I ever made with this company is branding our company. I thought I could do a lot of that, but you gotta humble yourself and realize that you don't know everything that you think you know, and you never will. But just listen. Everybody's got something that you can take home and will make you more profitable. You just got to pay attention. Yeah.
I think that's
so it. Be ready to listen to those that are talking to you and willing to help you. There's a lot of people out there that they enjoy helping others grow a business. They're not asking for anything. It's quite amazing having multi-million-dollar companies, owners of those companies reaching out to me and telling me or asking my opinion on certain things on there. I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are coming to me now. But it's fun. You just got to listen, pay attention to what's going on, and do the best you can, I guess.
I think that's it. It's never wanting to stop learning. The minute you shut yourself off to being open to things is when you've decided that's enough. And so as long as you're like you said, you're listening and you're looking to gain that new knowledge, that new information, then you can continue to evolve and change and grow. And when you've stopped and you've said, I know everything, it's not going to work at that point.
Yeah, then you do know everything that you're ever going to know. And that really leads into the guys that are taking, the getting certified. They're taking the CTIs. I don't know what the testing is for all the other floors and stuff, but at least for tile, you're taking a test, you're proving it. I'm losing my train of thought here, but you're advancing yourself. Never stop advancing.
That's it. You got to keep pushing. So, knowing you specialize in demo, guys always struggle getting tile up, getting wood up. Let's talk about wood floors. Let's give me a tip on a best practice when I need to get a wood floor up over concrete. How can I make that easier? Because everybody dreads it.
I've got the best tip for all people. Hire it out. Find a specialized demo company that can come in. We're going to do it quicker. We're going to do it cleaner. We're going to do it better, and you're going to make money on top of it. So, no. Jokes aside, man, the simplest tip for a glue down wood floor, you got to cut them up. If it depends on what tools you got, but circular saw, take it, cut them up. If you got to cut the glue down wood floor into 2-inch strips, and I'm assuming it's over a concrete subfloor because that's what we deal with. I know that there's a lot of different variables there, but if you're over a concrete subfloor, just cut it. I know my guys have had to cut them up into 2-inch strips sometimes when they can't get the demo machines into a room or something, and they got to use demo hammers. cut it as small as you got to do it. I've seen guys do it 1 inch. We were on a job where a guy took out the whole kitchen. The contractor took all the hardwood out and cut it all into 1 inch strips, spent 2 days on it, and called us. He did the kitchen, which was probably 80 square feet, and called us for the other 1,500 feet, which we did in, I think it was 7 hours. And we cut the floor into 1 inch strips, or 1 foot strips.
Wow.
So, the right tools, if you can get, if you got a job 1,500 feet of glue down wood, and if you can go rent a Terminator or whatever other ride-on scraper you have access to, that's going to change. That's going to change your life.
Yeah, the right tool for the right job. It's definitely not easy, and cutting it into 1 inch strips and doing 80 square feet in 2 days. That's, like I said, I mean, that's one of the most miserable jobs that we see when you go to bid something and you're just like, ooh, do I really want this job? So yeah, you're right. If there is a specialty demolition company in your area that has a ride-on machine, bring them in, build a relationship with them. I think that's going to be the easiest way. Next easiest way, like you said, cut it up into strips, get the right kind of demo hammer. Don't try and use that little tiny rotary chipping hammer. Go get the big guns.
Yeah, and you can use the same bit that we use for tile demo. Usually, not always, but usually will work really well with wood demo. And Bosch makes a tile chisel that I highly recommend, that fits in an SDS Max demolition hammer.
All right. Well, Jesse, where can we check you out on the internet?
You could go to our website. It's www.floordozers.com. That's FLOOR. What is it again? It's I'm going to start that over. You can go to our website. It's floordozers.com. That's FLOORDOZERS.com. All of our information's there, and you can, if you wanted to get in touch with me, send me an email, give me a call. All that's listed. If you got questions, I'd love to help you out if I can. And if I can't, I know lots of people that may be able to.
Guys, I would not hesitate to reach out to Jesse. He is an expert at what he does. I know I send him a lot of questions, and I'm sure at some point he gets sick of me saying, hey man, how do I do this? Hey,
Never.
How do I do that?
Never. Don't stop asking.
I'm always trying to learn and glean something from everybody that I can in this industry. I appreciate you being on, taking time out of your day to do this with us. So once again, guys, floordozers.com. They are great. If you're in the Mesa area, Phoenix area, I would check them out. If you are elsewhere,
we'll travel for the right amount of money.
There you go.
Just kidding.
I also know reach out to Jesse. I know he knows guys doing this all across the country, so he can potentially get you in contact with someone in your area to link up with. So once again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. That's all the time we have for this week. Be sure to subscribe so you can listen to each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest or have questions, you can email us at flooreducation@gmail.com. Remember, your education never stops.